We got a lot of questions in the Duke basketball world being asked this time of year. Who is the next big recruit that Duke has their eyes on? How much of a disappointment is it that the Blue Devils missed out on Flory Bidunga? And what players have been standing out with a whole lot of offseason buzz? Guess what? We answer those questions on today's Mailbag Monday episode of Locked On Blue Devils.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson, and it's so great to have you here with us on this Monday, August 21st, 2023. It is a Mailbag Monday episode of Locked On Blue Devils, where we answer the questions that you, the listener and viewer, had here on the program. Thank you for sending all the questions to us on Twitter at LO_Blue Devils and also via email, lockedonbluedevils@gmail.com. Had a whole lot of fun picking through a lot of these. And now we get the opportunity to answer them here on today's show. And I brought on my good pal, Pablo Cong, at Coach P. Cong on Twitter, from our good friends over at the 5 Point Play podcast, a writer at Ball Durham, an expert when it comes to all things Duke basketball. Pablo joins the show in just a little bit to answer these questions. I want to also thank you for your support daily of Locked On Blue Devils by liking and subscribing to this podcast feed. Leave us that 5-star rating and review, watching the show daily on YouTube, subscribing to our YouTube channel. You, the audience, helps the show continue to grow each and every day. And so I personally am so thankful for that. Without further ado, let's bring on my good pal, Pablo Cong, who joins us here on the show today. P, how we doing, man?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me, JJ. How are you?
I cannot complain. Super excited to get this conversation off and rolling. Super excited to dive in to a lot of these great mailbag questions that we've had, to hear your thoughts on these questions. So let's just dive right into it. First question that I want to answer here was sent in via email. Who's going to be the next Duke recruit to watch for a commitment? What say you, Pablo, when you hear that question?
So if I had to guess, just pure speculation or whatever, obviously everybody thinks that it's going to be Cooper Flagg, which I think can be a possibility. But outside of Cooper Flagg, I would have to say it's all dependent on what happens with Dylan Harper. So I think that we can probably sneak in there and get somebody like a VJ Edgecombe commitment, possibly if we get if Dylan Harper ends up committing to Rutgers. And even Patrick Mbonga, or however you say his name, I can't pronounce it the right way. So
we'll learn it eventually.
Yeah. So one of those guys. So I'm thinking it's either one of those guys we might be able to pick up pretty soon outside of Cooper Flagg. I think Cooper Flagg is definitely a lock too, as well, JJ.
Cooper Flagg was the first thought for me, having the recent visit and obviously reclassifying into the class of 2024, the Bidunga commitment not going in Duke's favor. It just feels like those dominoes are starting to get into place for Cooper Flagg, who gets set for his senior year of basketball. And so many of these players, Pablo, they just want to get the commitment out of the way, right? Because I'm sure Cooper and the rest of the class of 2024 players are asked every single day, when are you going to commit? What school are you going to? Have you made up your mind yet? Do you need to think about it some more? All those type of questions, I think they want to put them to bed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I that's understandable, so I can just imagine a guy like, the questions that Cooper Flagg has to answer. He's probably one of the, most popular basketball players in the world now, so anywhere he goes, he's probably going to the grocery store and he's getting asked when he's going to commit to Duke. And, it seems like it's pretty much a lock. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what happens. And we'll see what happens, JJ. We'll see what happens.
Without a doubt, we'll see what happens. Excited to see exactly how the rest of this process begins to unfold. It's going to be a whole lot of fun with that. So we move on to our next question here. We've got a wide variety of Duke basketball topics. The next one was sent on Twitter. Who will be a breakout Duke player in the NBA this year? I like this one. So a breakout player in the league. Obviously, someone by the name of Jason Tatum is probably off the table. He's already a breakout star. Zion has had his amazing moments, been an all-star in the league. Kyrie Irving won a championship, been an all-star. Who's that breakout star, though, for you, Pablo, this upcoming season?
Yeah, so I think I got two names for you that I think could be possibilities. One that comes into mind really quickly is Cam Reddish. He's back on, not back on the Lakers, but he got picked up by the Lakers. I think all the opportunity will be there for him. He has the tutelage under LeBron and just the vets and, elite players, Anthony Davis. And so I think he has a very good chance, to break out and really show his full potential in the NBA, which we haven't seen so far. It's always just been flashes with him. So I think Cam Reddish definitely has a good chance. And the other name I'll say who actually had a great season last year is Trey Jones. I think Trey Jones has an opportunity, a real opportunity to really make some noise and to solidify himself as a starter there in San Antonio and just lock that position down.
You took my answer from me, Pablo, and that's perfectly fine. That just means I'm thinking along the right wavelength. So Cam Reddish, absolutely. Eyeballs are always going to be on the Los Angeles Lakers, no matter who's playing for that team. You put on LeBron James, you put on Anthony Davis, eyeballs are absolutely going to be there. And so there's going to be great opportunity for folks to be watching Cam Reddish. It means he's got to step up and perform, because we know if he doesn't, he's going to find himself towards the end of the bench and not playing and not factoring into the mix. So definitely think Cam is ready to kind of revitalize his career and make things happen there. But Trey Jones is the name, because a lot of people are going to be watching San Antonio Spurs basketball, and rightfully so, with Victor Wembanyama, the number one pick in this year's draft. How in the world is he going to translate as an NBA basketball player? And I don't even care to have that discussion on this program today. It's a Duke show after all. But because so many people are going to be watching the Spurs, you're going to see Trey Jones on your television running point for San Antonio. And I think people are going to be like, wait a minute, just like his brother Tyus, these dudes are hoopers in the NBA and do a great job at that lead guard spot.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, JJ. Absolutely. I just, like I said, I already mentioned, I think he has a great opportunity, ahead of him. And just playing in that system, Hall of Fame coach and Coach Pop, I really believe that Trey Jones might end up on an all defensive team. I think I'm not sure what his averages were last year, but I do think he averaged double figures as a starter. So, and, just like you said, with eyes on San Antonio because of Victor, it's going to be perfect timing, for Trey Jones to really have a breakout season. So he's definitely my pick, and I'm rooting for him. Go Duke.
13 points a game, 6.6 assists per contest for Trey Jones a year ago. Absolutely. One more pick for you. Mark Williams. I want to put his name out there for the people as Mark gets set for his second season. The Hornets no longer have Mason Plumlee in the fold. Another Duke guy who was tremendous, had a career year last year for both the Hornets and the Clippers. This is more time for Mark Williams to be out there on the floor as the 5-man for Charlotte. LaMelo Ball driving a lot of lob opportunities at the rim. I think you're going to see a lot of Mark Williams highlight dunks and blocks as you're scrolling through your Instagram or Twitter social media feeds. So let me give Mark Williams some love as well in this question, Pablo.
Yeah, that's crazy that you say that, JJ. That name totally slipped my mind. So I'm gonna smack myself in the hand on that one. No, I know towards the end of the season, especially, Mark Williams really broke out and really solidified himself as a starter there in Charlotte, and he just really played well. His obviously the ability has always been there on the defensive side, but at Charlotte he really showed what he can do offensively. And I liked what I saw. So I'm definitely anxious to see what's going to happen with him. And I'm just looking forward to it. One name I will say, another name, if he gets the opportunity, JJ, is AJ Griffin. It's another guy we should watch out for. If he gets the opportunity in Atlanta, he can really make some noise.
Yeah, big things are coming. I love that. All right, let's take our first time out here on today's show. We answer more questions in this Mailbag Monday edition of Locked On Blue Devils, here on Locked On Blue Devils. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where you need to be when you're looking to grow your small business. Every new potential hire can feel like such a high-stakes wager, and you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Moving forward here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils, JJ Jackson alongside my friend Pablo Cong. Let's move on. It's Mailbag Monday. We're answering your questions that you sent in via email, lockedonbluedevils@gmail.com, or on Twitter at @LO_Blue Devils. Next question up. How much of a disappointment, Pablo, is it to miss out on recruit Flory Bidunga? We were asked pretty frequently. How disappointing is this?
Well, obviously, it's disappointing. I know I feel personally disappointed. I really wanted to pick up Flory. I could see some really good things, some good qualities, obviously, on the court with him. But I think character-wise is another reason that I'm hearing that, he's a good kid, and I'm hearing that all good things about Flory. So I thought that he fit real well with what Coach Shire trying to do with the Blue Devils and just the overall system that they play. So it was disappointing, but I'm happy for him. Obviously I'm happy for him. It's still go Duke. I don't, what I'm saying? I hope we play Kansas and we beat them, obviously. But, that recruitment was it was a wild one. It was a wild one, JJ. I'll be honest with you. It was a wild one. And I heard that, Hunter Dickinson was a big factor in that recruitment and why he went to Kansas. He made a late call to him, said some things to him that really resonated with Flory. So, that's just the way it shook out, and it's on to the next for us. So
on to the next one, and there are more options out there. So yes, it is disappointing, but I don't know that we're going to be overly disappointed in just one recruit who's certainly not at the caliber of a premier player like Cooper Flagg in this class, right? But still, Flory Bidunga, a guy who would have made an instant impact on this Duke team. There are other options. And when you're talking about a guy like Patrick Ngaba II, who's high school teammates with Darren Harris, he's no backup option. Like, this is still a premier high school recruit that many teams in the country would love to welcome in. We may be getting ahead of ourselves thinking that he's going to end up at Duke, but maybe this also gives a better opportunity for Cooper Flagg to enter the fold, right? I mean, people are wanting to talk about what it means for Flagg's recruitment, and that kind of sets up the next mailbag question that we had today. What is the likeliness of Duke basketball landing Cooper Flagg? A lot of chatter out there that Bidunga also swayed his decision because he knew this reclassification was coming from Cooper Flagg and felt as though the stars were aligned for Flagg to end up in Durham. So I ask you, Pablo, what is the likeliness that Duke lands Cooper Flagg?
I'm going to say the likeliness is probably 100%, JJ. I don't think there's any room, for anything else or any other school to even get in this recruitment at this point. So I think, all signs are pointing to Cooper Flagg in a positive way, joining Duke, obviously. And one thing about it, too, is what I think is real notable is that, you had coaches, from the Duke staff actually tweeting, not by name, but tweeting little subliminal messages, when Cooper Flagg announced a reclass. So I think that's very, very telling. And I think that I think we're okay, JJ.
That coaching staff might know a thing or two. That's for sure.
Yeah,
They might know a thing or two. All right. Next question that we've got here. By the way, I do think the likeliness is damn near 100% as well. So don't want to jinx anything. Definitely want to be knocking on wood, but let's make sure we get that Cooper Flagg commitment. Who does Cooper Flagg remind you of as a prospect, as a recruit, was a question that was asked frequently in our mailbag. You got to be at Peach Jam, Pablo. You saw a lot of the action. So I love your perspective on this question.
Yeah, so that's the thing is everybody who knows me, they know that like I'm not a really big comparison guy, but if I'm gonna throw a comparison out there, and I know people are being like, what? But so I'll say with Cooper Flagg, I say a little bit of Gordon Hayward would way more swag. You know what I'm saying? I give him some Gordon Hayward with some swag, mix in with a little bit of Jason Tatum. It's really hard to say about Cooper, though. It's really hard to say because defensively, what he does, a little bit of Andre Kirilenko. Another thing is that, when you're comparing guys, obviously they compare, guys who look alike, you know what I mean? Skin color, facial recognition, everything. So, and I don't really like to do that, but I just like to talk about overall game. But I mean, all those guys I mentioned, I feel like they fit the same mold, but at the same time, Cooper Flagg, I feel like he's on his own path and he's just doing his own thing. So he's Cooper Flagg. He plays and he looks like Cooper Flagg to me.
I'm thinking a lot of the internet doing those face smashes where we put two faces and merge them together. And so in my head, I've got Gordon Hayward and Jason Tate, Andre Kirilenko, and we've got Cooper Flagg that comes out of putting all those people together. That is a pretty elite recruit that we're talking about here. Yeah, I think on the defensive end of the floor, the way he moves, I mean, Duke could be getting a pretty special player in Cooper Flagg. The offense jumps out to me right away just because the guy is an absolute shot maker at that size that he is. But then to see it translate on the defensive end of the floor while still being young and knowing that it will continue to get better, like, my goodness, what a special player this could be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, the stuff that he does on the court and his attributes and everything, they just all equal special. You know what I mean? So I'm excited, obviously, about the potential of getting Cooper Flagg, and I can't wait to see him in the Duke uniform overall. For what he does offensively, it's pretty special. I think the only thing with Cooper on the offensive end that people don't talk about enough is, his playmaking. I think he's a very good playmaker. He handles the ball really, really well for a guy his size, and he's. Everybody talking about a small ball four and things like that. But to me, Cooper is just a really, really big guard. Yeah. So, I'm excited, JJ.
I can't wait. Yeah, excited too. I hope, like we said, 100% likelihood that this commitment takes place. We're going to be really hurt if it doesn't. There are already Vegas betting lines on the odds that Cooper Flagg ends up in a Duke uniform. We've seen pictures from the unofficial visit. Like, let's just make this thing happen. All of these Mailbag Monday questions are at the bottom of the description here. If you're watching us on YouTube, in the comments down below, please insert your thoughts and opinions. What do you think the answers to these questions are? You're listening and watching the Locked On Blue Devils here today. JJ Jackson alongside Pablo Cong from Ball Durham, the 5 Point Play podcast. Promote some of your work, if you will, Pablo.
Yeah, y'all can, obviously you can find me at the Ball Durham. I'm a writer at the Ball Durham. With Kevin Connolly, 5 Point Play podcast. I'm one of the five members. You can find me at Twitter at Coach P Cong and on Instagram at Pablo Cong Scouting.
So let's talk about some of the recent work that you've had there at Ball Durham before I get to our last few mailbag questions here. So you had a profile. You've pretty much gone freshman by freshman and putting together a really great profile, trying to think about what their role could be on the Duke team. I'm getting smarter every time I'm reading your work. The most recent one was TJ Power. Tell me a little bit about the work that went into that story, Pablo.
Yeah, so about TJ Power, I just felt like out of everybody, he just was, he kind of wasn't getting like the shine, not the shine, but he kind of was like the least talked about. So I said, let me do my work and, talk to some people, see what's been going on with TJ Power. And just really just write it and just promote him, just for everything that he does and, his skill set. I think he deserves some plug. And so I had to plug him in, JJ. I had to plug him in and write the story. I'm writing some other stories, obviously. So that definitely won't be the last TJ Power story. I'm excited to watch TJ Power. I really think that he can contribute this season. And that was another reason why I wanted to write about that, because if we see him on the court and we see him play, he fits. He fits right away. He's a plug and play guy. You put him anywhere, you put him on anybody, you put him in any position. I feel like it's going to be positive results. So I'm looking forward to see what TJ Power do, and hopefully he proves me right.
Yeah. All right, we got two more questions here for our Mailbag Monday episode today on Locked On Blue Devils. Let's have a fun one here, and then we'll come back to the Duke topics at the very end. But Pablo, someone wants to know, as they sent us a message on Twitter, what would you think if Stanford and Cal ended up joining the ACC? A lot of conference realignment talk this time of year. Everybody's moving all over the place. The Pac-12 has officially fallen apart. A lot of rumors about Stanford and Cal and where they could potentially end up. What would you think?
Yeah, so with those guys, if they join the ACC, I mean, obviously, I think it would be good. I honestly think that it would help them more than it would help, obviously it would help Duke. It would help them probably in recruiting and everything. So for me, it's like the more the merrier. Obviously, I would want teams that are a little more competitive to join. That would be better. But at the same time, I think it's okay. I'm okay with it, JJ. It's just, to me, that's just 2 more wins for us,
That's an absolute great way to look at that, Pablo, because I'm over here. I am the guy who wants to remind people that it is the Atlantic Coast Conference, and nothing about the state of California screams Atlantic Coast to me. But I'm also someone who needs to get over the fact that there have never been just 10 schools in the Big Ten, and that there have never been just 12 schools in the Big 12. And so names are whatever. And bring them on. If Stanford and Cal want to join the ACC, let's have some fun. As you said, in the basketball world, at least, that probably would be some more wins down the line for our beloved Duke Blue Devils. That's great. One more for you. Which Duke player have you heard the most positive buzz about this offseason?
So obviously you got the guy, Tyrese is one of the names that everybody's talking about, who's playing really well, just, showing a lot of maturity. But 2 other names that I'll say is obviously another one is Jared McCain. Jared McCain is really standing out. Caleb Foster. I'm sorry, I'm just throwing names out there, JJ, because I got a bunch of names. So Jared McCain, I was about to say JJ Foster. Caleb Foster, obviously, and I'm really hearing good things about Jaden Shoot. Really hearing good things about Jaden Shoot. So that was something that I didn't expect. Obviously, I knew he had the ability, but I didn't expect him to be one of the guys that, is really standing out. And I'm hearing that he's, standing out, looking real confident. He's gotten a lot stronger, and he's playing well. So hopefully that translates into the season.
I would love to be able to continue to plant my flag as the loudest supporter of the Jaden Shoot Duke basketball fan club, have been since the guy arrived on campus. And so like you, I love that we are hearing so much positive things about Shoot. I'm just curious, what does that translate to on the basketball court? Because at the end of the day, there are still 12 scholarship players that Shire and this coaching staff are going to have to juggle the minutes. And only 5 of them can be on the floor at once. And then beyond that, there's only 1 basketball for everybody to hold on to. So really curious about that. The most positive buzz, I think I got to go Jared McCain, though. I mean, I think recently, the last 3 weeks with these camps that he's gone off to individually, it feels like everyone in college basketball is like, wait a minute, this Jared McCain deal, dude, might be the real deal for Duke this season.
Yeah. Jared McCain, he's a gamer. And the thing about it too is what I don't think some people know, but some people don't really know. They don't realize that, Jared McCain's whole career, he's just won. He's just been a winner. He's played well. He's just elevating. So, he went from, playing in California to, not being known to being ranked and, just winning state championships. And now he's at Duke. So Jared McCain can play basketball. I think people see the TikToks and they think that everything is, is something else and he might be a little soft. That's not Jared McCain. Jared McCain has played the best competition his whole career and has always won and beat some of the best players and the best teams. So we can expect nothing but positive and good things from Jared McCain, and he is going to be great at Duke.
We're ready for it. We're ready for all of the Jared McCain basketball highlights that are coming this season. Well, Pablo, that was awesome. A lot of fun to unpack these mailbag questions that were sent to us here for today's episode. Thanks for being on a Mailbag Monday with me, man. We'll have to do that again sometime soon.
Absolutely, my man. Thanks for having me, JJ.
All right, that's Pablo Cong from Ball Durham and the 5 Point Play podcast. Fam, make sure you go follow his work at Coach P. Cong on Twitter. That's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in to a Mailbag Monday edition of the program. A lot of basketball talk today. We talk Duke football tomorrow. as we're now less than 2 weeks away from the start of the 2023 Duke football season. Josh Cox stops by the show tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Special shout out to all of our everydayers out there. Thank you for your daily support here of Locked On Blue Devils. That's going to do it for today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.